I've played many games in the 21 years I've been on this earth, from platformers to first-person shooters to party games and action-adventure games. I have this strong driven passion for gaming. It was that summer when I first heard about a game that would change my life for the better. That game was Xenoblade Chronicles. Growing up, I was never into RPGs. I played the Mario RPGs, the Mother series, and Pokemon. They had a lot of impact on my life, from either the quirky aspects like the dialogue of the characters, or the addicting nature of catching and training monsters like with Pokemon. I was never into character development, story-driven games with a captivating world at the time. It was June of 2014. I was scrolling to my YouTuber subscriber box when I saw the reveal of Chuggaaconroy's new Let's Play.
The next Let's Play? It's my favorite game of all time.
It soon hit me that we were in for a wild ride. Chuggaa's LP was brimming with such detail that I would call it my favorite LP of all time. I was hooked. Later that summer, Shulk was announced to be the next character in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. I was stoked. I thought not that many people have played or heard Xenoblade Chronicles back in 2014. It was truly special to see a character get revealed in Smash Bros. That a few months beforehand, I barely even knew existed in the Nintendo franchise. And on that same day, a Japanese Nintendo Direct showed off the new Nintendo 3DS. One of those things shown off was a port of Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, called Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. I was amazed. I knew from Chuggaa's LP how detailed and expansive the world was. To have it all on the Nintendo 3DS was significant. I was at the top of my Xenoblade hype train. Chuggaa continued his Xenoblade LP throughout the fall months. I tried and failed at maining Shulk in Smash 4, and then I was really getting into the music after hearing it a lot when I set it to play in Smash Run. Pretty soon, I realized that many other people were getting into the series as well after Shulk's inclusion in Smash 4. As 2014 fell, my thirst for Xenoblade was growing. 2015 started when the new 3DS was coming to America and Europe, along with Xenoblade 3D coming a few months after its release. I couldn't afford a new 3DS back then because I didn't have a job and I was still in high school. I didn't get a new 3DS until late 2016. Chuggaa's LP ended when spring rolled around, and Xenoblade X released at the end of that April in Japan, slating for a December release in the West. That was going to be my first Xenoblade game I'm going to play because I had a Wii U, but then something happened. I don't want to get too much into this, but something happened that made me almost quit gaming forever. I was frustrated with the lack of interest for games. The amiibo craze during that time didn't help much with my opinion of games either. They didn't feel almost to the quality I wanted to be. Almost like I wanted all the games I played to be like Xenoblade. Having a TV that cannot reliably play games on my Wii U for a few months was also a hindrance to my gaming experience. I missed out on a lot of games. Splatoon, Yoshi's Woolly World, and sadly, Xenoblade Chronicles X. However, there was hope. My older brother has a lot of strange habits. One of these was selling games that he didn't care much about to buying games in bulk. He bought a lot of N64 and Wii games, at a cost of selling off any Wii and N64 game that wasn't Mario. It was a shame really. Most of these games were Nintendo games that I didn't feel like playing then. However, there was one game that came in that stack that surprised me the most. It was Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. I couldn't believe it. The original Wii version was hard to find in the US because it was an exclusive that went for $80 at first, that was gouged up to $90 to $130. I hated what my brother did to my other games that he sold off, but at the cost of bringing one of my favorite games of all time to me. That fall of 2015 was one of my favorite moments in gaming. When I was playing through, I noticed a lot of details that I missed from Chuggaa's LP. The character interactions from the heart-to-hearts were especially memorable, although I kinda sucked at them. I quickly grew attached to the gem crafting, arts management, and skill tree links. I slaughtered unique monster after unique monster after unique monster. The quests, Whoa, there were a lot of quests. So much, in fact, that I devoted days where I used the guides on XenoWiki to look up and complete quests as they were available. Time quests were a unique case, as I wanted to complete them as quickly as possible. However, what captivated me the most was the art style, music, world building, characters, and story. Starting with the art style, at the time I didn't know much about art. I was more of a gamer that didn't mind about the art style if it had great gameplay. The vibrant colors and the rough and almost surreal textures of areas captivated me. Sure, it was not graphically impressive, but a lot of things looked beautiful in my eyes. Giant waterfalls, floating islands above a vast sea, crystals glowing in the night. It was pretty surreal, especially going along with the music. Perfection is what I can say about Xenoblade's soundtrack. I love every song in this game. I say that rarely with any game I play. I was always a fan of video game music, but not even on the levels of Mario Galaxy games can top how amazing the soundtrack is. Every song had some level of emotion to them, whether it was energetic and fast-paced, to slow and calming, to middle-of-the-road laughable. The soundtrack had a great variety, and it sounded amazing. Every week of my life, I would hum at least one song from that game. I would frequently listen to the soundtrack on YouTube, and while I do the dishes, I listen to the full soundtrack posted as a video on YouTube. If anyone was wondering what my favorite songs from the game are, it's hard to say. I would say the most underrated tracks of the game are Prison Island, Galahad Fortress, and Agnirtha during the day. If anyone was ever interested in Xenoblade, I would highly recommend listening to some of the songs first. Just not the songs with spoilery titles. The world is magnificent. Different human races and animals flock each region of the Titans, the Bionis and the Mechonis. The races include humans with different skin colors and hair called Homs, beach ball-sized furry creatures called Napon, wise people with wings on their heads called Hyantia, and the people of Mechonis. All of them live different lives. Some Homs are refugees from which their homes were destroyed by the devastating creatures called Mechon. Napon village is home and birth home to the Napon, creatures who appear innocent, but they have a greedy side to their actions. The Hyantia are a secluded race from the rest of the world because of reasons I'll explain later. The people of Mechonis do the same way, but must deal with their leader because of the intent of what he's going to do next. Everywhere in this world is rich with little things that can only be found in side quests and during heart-to-hearts. The world is glowing with blue orbs that act as pickup items. Ether crystal deposits are glowing with color and act as this beacon where you can mine crystals that eventually get crafted into gems. Monsters drop chests for some reason. Every inch of the map is littered with fast travel points and places of interest that give you experience points among other things. Unique monsters drop affinity coins, giving you a reason to want to go after them. This world has plenty to offer, and it does it magnificently. I really grew attached to the main characters on my first playthrough. Shulk must be one of my favorite RPG protagonists. His goals and what he wants to achieve are well fleshed out through the whole story. The decisions he makes from the visions brought to him sell me a lot more from this character. He doesn't know what his goals are, and he just wants to live his life as a Homs. But his first goal was to seek revenge for Fiora. Fiora, while certainly the love interest for Shulk, didn't leave as much of an impression to me. I'll explain later. Ryan
Now it's right time!
is a brave and clunky buffoon who looks after Shulk with the best of his abilities. He really cares about the group and doesn't care what others think of him. He rarely gets disgusted and always depends on his gut reaction for advice, along with his best friend Shulk. Oh yeah, his battle quotes are amazing. Ain't a rainbow without Ryan, baby!
Man, what a bunch of jokers!
Dunban is probably one of my favorite male companions, a sentimental leader who isn't afraid of what comes his way. Dunban is a tragic character who lost the use of his arm in the Battle of Sword Valley, along with a close friend who betrays him and eventually becomes an enemy. He loses a lot of the people who meant so much to him, and I can easily relate to that. Dunban's journey with Shulk was a destiny that not only he could fulfill, but with his aid, his future will burn bright. Charlotte is, I guess you can say, the lady with big in the story, but she's the medic with a heart. After the Mechon destroyed her home of Colony 6, she strives to get her home back by gathering army and taking back the colony. Her fiancé, Gato, was someone she mostly wanted to see but never returned. Her goal was to find Gato and
Scrapped each and every one!
the Mechon in the world. To me, she didn't see much of character growth other than flashbacks of Gato and Charlotte in the past. And in some cases, she was kind of a jerk. But that doesn't mean I don't like Charlotte. She has a place on the team, and having her around makes the journey a bit more enjoyable. Melia. Oh, Melia. Where do I begin? A half-Homs, half-Hyantia princess that must protect the duties of her people and gain their trust, but is thwarted by her surrogate mother and sister who want to kill her so the lineage of the Hyantia will go on. Pressure, anxiety, and maintaining perfection is something I truly desired of characters in RPGs. Her relationship with Shulk is rocky, and later makes you feel bad for her. In fact, everything about her character makes you feel bad! I'll talk about it later. Ricky is adorable, and that's all I'll say. He may be a little cumbersome at first, but he would make a great squishy furry volleyball. I also like his heart-to-heart moments, especially with Ryan and Dunban. All in all, this is far the best cast out of any RPG, and you will love these characters, especially some of the minor ones like Charlotte's younger brother Juju, or Dunban's companions Dixon and Mumkar. Before I talk about the story, there will obviously be spoiler warnings. I don't go super in-depth, but be warned. I will also talk about the story parts that impacted me the most on my first playthrough, because covering everything will take up at least an hour. First, it was learning about the Minato, a sword capable of slaying the Mechon. At the time, I knew what the Minato was capable of because of Chuggaaconroy LP, how breaking Zanza's shackles at Prison Island changed the Minato into its second form, which can be able to hurt human life. Then, we learn how powerful Shulk and the Minato are because of the connection he has with the Bionis and Zanza, the creator of Bionis. Shulk is dead, and Zanza used him as a husk to be able to have control over the Mechonis. Zanza having control of Shulk's actions, even influencing his comrades to me, felt very deep and maniacal. The Minato had a deep and underlying secret, and it was to erase mankind and rebuild it, the passage of fate. The fate of the Hyantia is very tragic, especially with my feelings with Melia. The fact that they are Zanza's servants when they turn into Telethia was quite disturbing. The Hyantia look helpless in their bird form meshed together with Telethia. Her own people were turned into devastating creatures of destruction, including Callian, a brother who was very close to Melia next to her father. At this point, I saw why Melia is a tragic character. Her father and brother died while most of the Hyantia died harshly. The Hyantia disciple of Zanza, Lorthea, being the biggest bitch in the game made me feel even worse for her. I would always look away with disgust when she kisses Callian's abomination of a Telethia. Luckily, Melia along with a few other Hyantia were born half Homs because having Homs blood means you can't turn into a Telethia. At least there was still hope in that respect. But on top of everything that was happening with Fiora and Shulk, I felt many things during that section of the story. Now let's talk about Fiora. The love interest of Shulk. She was alive after the Mekon's attack on Colony 9. We quickly learn about Fiora and what she had to deal with during the time her memory was captured by Mayneth, the creator of Mechonis. This dynamic with Shulk and Fiora felt truly a contrast with what Zanza thinks of Mayneth. Two lovers controlled by gods who don't see eye to eye with each other. Fiora in New Mechanical Body speaks a lot of words for how I feel. First, the developers, based on her design alone, knew that Shulk will get along with her more in her mechanical body because of how Shulk loves machines so much. Then, Shulk learns about Mayneth's control of Fiora's life force. He has mixed feelings, but eventually they get along nicely despite the circumstances. Third, after Mayneth disappears, Fiora in the story becomes weaker and doesn't have enough time left to live. This prompts Shulk to think about how to take care of Zanza with Fiora's weak body by his side. I didn't think about this too much on my first playthrough, but something about Fiora being almost too perfect for Shulk makes it hard for Melia fans like myself to judge Fiora. It's only me though. Other things that struck me was when I reached Magna Forest, Valak Malin, and Agnirtha for the first time. Those places were the most breathtaking experiences. Magna Forest with its deep jungle, differing elevations, and it
sweatier than a brog's armpit
made me want to venture on. Also, it being the first place where we meet Melia always stuck out to me. Valak Malin is equally as amazing. I consider it one of the best areas in gaming. Scaling down a mountain was almost never touched on in gaming was a neat way of exploration. And the ice physics were out of this world! The Giant's Ruin and Ase Tower were quite interesting locations as well, and the battle against Mumkar at the end was a refreshing turning point and fight for the story. Agnirtha struck me as the most depressing location in the game. The great battle of the two titans single-handedly destroyed this place, and the machina that controlled it. It's a terrifying reminder of what Bionis went through to have its way. The beautiful music and the setting are the perfect place to end before we fight Egil at the Mechonis core. I love this story. Not only does it talk about a tale of betrayal and losing the ones who mean much to you the most, it touches on racism, love, friendship, and trust. It's what one believes in that counts, and truly satisfies the players after the team beats Zanza, and it creates a whole world where everyone can live in peace. After Zanza is then defeated, we see Zanza's human form, Klaus, perform the experiment that would shape the whole entire series. So, the battles are fun. Chugga's LP showed how addicting and satisfying the battles would be, and I felt the same way. The ability to customize your party members whatever you want is pretty sweet. The ability to craft and equip gems, level up your attack arts and skill trees, and giving skills to party members, which is secretly my favorite way a JRPG can make a skill tree, is nothing new in JRPGs. But Xenoblade uses those mechanics to its advantage. If you ever have an enemy that has spikes, use spike defense gems. If you want more accuracy against high level enemies, equip night vision gems. If you want your auto attacks to do more damage, slap on some strength gems and give one of Ryan's skills to that party member or something. You can customize your R pellet the way you want to as well. The break, topple, and daze mechanic is a great way to penetrate enemy defenses and make battles fun and not frustrating to go through. Unless you are an enemy with a huge spike damage or territorial rap art. Each character you play as in battle has their own strengths and weaknesses. Like many JRPGs and action RPGs at the time, Shulk is a glass cannon, Fiora and Dunban both specialize in evasion and quick auto attacks with their high agility. Ryan is the tank of the group and frequently draws in the aggro from other party members. Charlotte is the healer and supporter, Melia is the black mage, and oh, she does it so well. And Ricky is the jack of all trades, aside from his monstrous HP for some reason. Every character in the group is very fun to play as, and I like to switch around my party leader from time to time just to play as them. Well, besides Charla, she kinda sucks to play as. The best part is when I played with the battle system for the first time was the quick time button presses that makes the battle feel satisfying. Visions are neat and give a nice indicator of a strong attack that can instantly knock out a party member. But you can use the Monado art so you can evade the physical attack and make a talent art do less damage. Or you can instantly break a vision tag when an enemy is dazed or defeated. Chain attacks are neat and can give you a chance to do extra damage depending on the color of arts. but I don't like how it's dependent on RNG to pull off a long and powerful chain, which is mostly affected by affinity. Speaking of which, it is another thing that makes these battles fun. The higher the affinity, the more chances to raise tension and have auto attacks come out quicker and do more damage. I like this battle system mainly because they are casual with its laid back action focus, but can get really challenging in the late game, and you must strategize what you need to do in the next fight. After my first playthrough, I felt very satisfied with the game. I thought about it at times that it could be my favorite game of all time right next to Zelda Ocarina of Time. I didn't have many friends, so I can't really show my appreciation to other people about it at the time. I had a close friend during my high school days that would always talk about Xenoblade with me, and he loved it, and I was the one who got him into it. Pretty soon after that, I wanted to tell more people. Not much has changed. A year and a half later, I did a second playthrough on New Game Plus, and I enjoyed myself with the subsequent playthrough. Xenoblade Chronicles released on the Wii U eShop soon after. However, at that point, the Wii U was nothing more than Nintendo's laughingstock until the Switch came along. And I was about to graduate high school in the first year during the Switch's life. In that year, I watched some people over the course of the next few years stream Xenoblade on Twitch and on YouTube, in preparation for the new Xenoblade game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It was all a good time. I discovered Discord in late 2017, a gateway. During that time, I expressed interest on porting or remastering the original Xenoblade to the Switch, but I doubted myself that was ever going to happen. It wasn't until September of 2019, when it finally happened. No way, dude! No freaking way! Dude! Yes! 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 Oh, Xenoblade is freaking finally coming to the Switch and people can finally play this game! Oh! What a crazy day it was. Nintendo seriously knocked it out of the park, and I was there, recording my reactions. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is now a thing. In the long 7 months leading up to it, eventually we got more details about the game and its new story, Xenoblade Future Connected. Along with new mechanics like a difficulty setting, improved quest tracking, thank god, an appearance section for equipment, improved textures and sound quality, and a time attack battle mode where you can get snazzy equipment. And, get this, a remastered soundtrack! It was truly amazing details, and they seem to be shaping up to be the best remaster on the Switch. At the time of recording this, I haven't played Definitive Edition yet, but by the time this goes up, I'll probably relax and play so much of this game you won't believe it. Today is Xenoblade's 10th anniversary that launched in Japan. The Definitive Edition could not come at a better time. I hope many of you guys can enjoy this game like I did. It was truly an experience of my gaming journey. If you don't like it, that's fine too. The fans are also welcoming, and you'll quickly feel at home with this game. I'll link a pretty big Discord server in the description. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and see you on the other side!